What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. Colourpop recently came out with a Stranger Things collection, and I did pick up a couple of items. I didn't pick up everything because I didn't feel like I needed everything. To be completely honest, I didn't need these either, but I was not going to skip out on a Stranger Things collection. I absolutely love the show. It is a favorite of mine. I am so ready for season 5. In fact, I am actually wearing my Eddie Munson t-shirt. It's him playing his Master of Puppets solo in the upside down. I have on my little bat earrings. I am 100% ready to go for next year when season 5 comes out. But let's get back into this collection. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick overview, give you all the details, show you close-ups and swatches of the things that I did pick up, and then we will create a couple of looks with these products. So the first thing that we have is the eyeshadow palette. Now this is the outer packaging, but I just thought it was so incredibly cute. I had to show it off. I love the classic 80s TV set with the Netflix right here, the VHS tape going into the VCR, and it says chapter 1 with the date on here. The attention to detail is so cute in this collection. But the actual eyeshadow palette itself looks like this. So you've got the 3 boys with 11 on their bikes riding through the forest, I'm assuming looking for Will since it's the first season. And then when you open it up, you do have the Demogorgon up here, and this is going to be your 16 pan color story. I think this is very pretty. I think it is very on theme. It goes perfectly with the TV show. I like the array of mattes, the beautiful shimmers in here. It goes from very light to very dark, and I think this is beautiful. Now I am hoping that the formula in here is the good Colourpop formula that they always give us in our collabs. So we will 100% find out because we are going to create a couple of different looks with this. Up next, I also picked up the cream blush. Now this looks like a cute little cassette tape. I love that as well. This is in the shade Byers. It is a natural matte finish, and it's one of those black blushes that is supposed to be pH changing. So it's going to be some sort of pink or peach on my skin. We will try it on, see how it performs. I do have some other cream blushes from Colourpop, and I really like the formula in those. So I'm hoping that this is the same formula that they gave us in those as well. Now this collection did also include some other products as well. Like I said, I did not pick those up. So first we have a set of 3 lip glosses. Very pretty, do not need them. I have plenty of lip products in my collection. That is the last thing I need. We also have a lip mask as well. I'm sure it is great. The packaging is adorable, but again, I don't need it. And then there are 2 liquid eyeshadows. I am not a liquid eyeshadow girly, so I skipped out on those. And lastly, we have the liquid highlighter. I don't like the Colourpop liquid highlighter formula, which is why I skipped out on that one. If it had been a Super Shock highlighter, I 100% would have picked it up. But as of now, everything in this collection is still currently available on the Colourpop website as well as over at Ulta. I will have everything linked and listed down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I have on my face and I used to finish up these looks today. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and zoom in, get my eyes out of, or my eyes out of my face, my hair out of my eyes, prime my eyes, and start creating our 2 looks. Okay, so we are zoomed in, my hair is out of my face, and my eyes are primed, but let's go ahead and start with the blush because I don't have anything on my cheeks other than a little bit of bronzer. My face is powdered, but if the formula in this is like the formula in the other cream blushes I have from the brand, it shouldn't be an issue. It should go on over top absolutely beautifully. So before I go ahead and put it on, I do want to do a swatch on the back of my hand just to kind of get a feeling for what the color is going to look like and kind of feel the actual formula in here. So this feels nice and creamy. You can see it is very black and it picks up very pink on my finger. So that is going to be the color that we're gonna get. It is a nice little wash of color. This does feel a little bit more slick and balmy than the other ones that I have from the brand. So hopefully it performs the same way. But let me go ahead and grab a blush brush right here. This is a Sigma Precision powder brush. I personally like this for blushes better than I do for powder. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of pick this up with my brush, and we're gonna start tapping this on my cheeks. Instantly changes color. This is going on really nicely. It's not super pigmented. I think it's going to be a little bit more on that buildable side, which I'm okay with. As long as I can build up to the amount of color that I want, I'm okay with it. I would much rather have more control over the amount of pigmentation that I have versus going in and trying to be really light-handed. That is a really pretty color. It's not lifting any product. It is going on really nicely. We will see if it dries down completely. It does feel a little kind of wet feeling on my cheek right now, but like I said, it's not moving any product around, and you could 100% go over top of it with a powder if you need to. All right, so I want to go back in and see if I can build up the pigmentation on my cheek, or if it's going to start to lift the product or just kind of, you know, dissipate or anything like that. So I picked up a little bit more on my brush, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm stippling it on. I am not swiping. I am not fluffing. I'm not doing back and forth motions. I am just pressing it on my skin, because with cream products, especially going over powder, if you start to do swiping motions, you are 100% going to move everything around. So just something to keep in mind, a little tip. But yeah, that built up really, really nicely. I think that's really pretty. I like the shade. Are the pH changing blushes gimmicky? 100%. But is it fun and on theme? 100%. All right, so I went ahead and threw on a little bit of highlighter and some setting spray to lock everything in place and create this look, but let's go ahead and start playing with the eyeshadow palette. So like I said, my eyes are primed with my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. This is my Holy Grail eyeshadow primer. It is the best one that I have found that works for my oily eyelids. But like I said, let's go ahead and start creating our first look with this palette. So the mattes in here are going to be this yellow, and then all of these right here along with this black shade. So for the first look, I think I want to play with a combination of this yellow and like this teal shade right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this yellow shade, and I'm going to put that on like the inner portion of my lid. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with, what do we want to use? Let's go in with this. This is a Morphe M543 brush. So I'm going to pick up the shade called Waffle Thief. Now I'm a little confused, which I just noticed this. So the shade names are on the actual palette, but they're also on the back as well. So I don't know why. At first I was a little worried that I wasn't going to be able to tell you what the shades were, but they're on the palette as well. So anyways, back to business. I went ahead and picked that shade up, and I'm going to start by pressing it on the inner half of my lid. So I'm going to bring it about halfway over. Like I said, I'm going to press it first, and once I have that shade down and I have the pigmentation that I want, I can go back and start to fluff this out. Now so far this is nice and pigmented. It is going on really well. I am not getting any fallout down here. I'm getting a little bit of kick up in the pan, and it's not patching on me either. So far this is a good formula. Now, I mean, I've only used one shade, but we'll see how everything else performs. All right, so next we're gonna go into this deep teal shade right here. This one is called The Gate. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one up with a BK Beauty 205 brush, and I'm gonna put this in my outer corner of my lid. So I'm gonna start by packing that shade on right here. That is very pigmented. I did not pick up much on my brush at all. So I'm gonna go in, like I said, by packing it, and then once I have that shade down, I can go in with like the side of my brush and start to blend everything out really nicely. Again, I am not getting any patching, skipping, or fallout, and the pigmentation with this shade is really good. Now when I get over to that yellow shade, I'm just going to very lightly pat the shades together. I don't want to do any swiping motions because I don't want them to mud up or kind of disappear into one another. So I'm just patting that shade right here, and then with the clean side of my brush, I'm just kind of very, very lightly blending those two shades together. So next I want to go into this black shade down here. This one is called The Void. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with, where is my brush? This one right here. This is a Sigma E23 brush, and I'm very lightly going to kind of press this right here in the outer corner, building up just a little bit of depth. That is very pigmented. That's a really nice black. I'm also going to bring that right here onto the very outer portion of my lower lash line as well, just slightly wrapping it around this outer corner, but I'm not bringing it over very far. I don't want this black to get away from me, but a good tip, if it does start to kind of take over your look, go back in with your previous brush and shade that you just used and kind of tap it over top, and it will just diffuse everything really nicely. All right, so we're gonna move on to the lower lash line, but before we do, I want to let you know I did get a little bit of fallout with that black shade. It wasn't a whole lot, but it wasn't really easy to fluff away. I did have to go back with a little bit of powder and a little bit of my blush to kind of fix the situation over here. It's not perfect, but I would make sure that you powder your under eyes really, really well, or maybe you do your base makeup after you use that black. So far, that's the only shade that I've had fallout with, but I did want to point it out. Now, back to the lower lash line. I want to go into this teal shade right here. This one is called Alternate Dimension. I could not read that to save my life. It is a shimmer shade, so I'm actually going to pick this one up with a BK Beauty 204. I am going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and I am really just going to press this along my lower lash line. I don't want to do swiping or anything like that, but the reason I'm spraying it is because I don't want to get any fallout. You could put a glitter primer under here, but I just don't think that works very well for my eyes. They are really sensitive, and there's something about putting a glitter primer on my lower lash line that really irritates them, but that is really pretty. It's just a very deep sparkle shade, and I like that little addition of sparkle down there. All right, so for all over the lid, I want to start with this shade right here. This one is called Castle Byers. It's like a really pretty, like murky green shimmer shade. I have already gone ahead and primed my eyes with my NYX glitter primer, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up with my finger. This feels really nice. It does not feel like a super shock, but it does feel nice and smooth, nice and creamy, and I am going to pop this one on pretty much all of my lid. I think I'm going to bring it over to about right there and maybe put something else on my lid as well with this one, and we might need another shimmer for the outer corner as well, but that is a really pretty shimmer shade. It has a nice reflection to it. I'm not getting any fallout. It's not accentuating texture on my lid or anything like that. Okay, so I think I actually want to go in with a little bit of this blue satin shade down here. It's not quite a full-on shimmer, but it's not a matte either. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my finger. That one is called Hive Mind. These are a little bit hard to read on the packaging in some spaces, so maybe that's why they put the shade names on the back as well. So that is what this shade looks like. Like I said, it's more of a satin than it is a full-on shimmer, but I'm going to press this right here where that matte and that first shimmer shade meet, and then once I have that shade down, I'm going to go in with my clean finger and just kind of blend everything together so we have a nice seamless transition from the outer corner all the way over across the lid. All right, so next for the inner corner, I want to go in to this shade up here. This one is called 1983. It's a really pretty, almost like holographic shimmer shade. I do want to pick this up on my finger first so I can show you what it's going to look like. Now this one is a little bit more on the gritty side, almost like a Colourpop pressed glitter, but it still looks very pretty. It has a lot of good reflection to it, but I am going to go ahead and pick this one up on a brush. So I'm going to go in with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. I am going to spray this with some MAC Fix Plus. Now I'm noticing whenever I dig my brush in here, it has a little bit of like that putty texture to it. So almost like a Super Shock pressed glitter combo have you. But like I said, we're going to pick that up on my brush, spray it with my MAC Fix Plus. That is just about out. This thing just keeps on going. Every time I think that's the last use I'm going to get out of it, more comes out. But we're going to press this on the inner corner over that matte yellow shade, and I am going to bring this up onto my lid, kind of pressing it and blending it into that green shimmer that I put on. Alright y'all, so this is the first completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out really pretty. I like the color combination. Aside from the little bit of fallout with that black shade, I didn't have any performance issues with any of the mattes in here, and I even think that the shimmers went on really nice on the lid as well. Even that little pressed glitter that I put on my inner corner, very comfortable. It doesn't feel heavy or chunky, and I didn't get anything in my eye, so that is a winner in my book. But let me show you what I used to finish up this look so we can start creating our second look with this palette. So in my lower waterline and to line my lid, I went in with a NYX Beetlejuice Pinstripe Duo Liner. This is in the shade Green Chrome. This is one of those where you have the chromatic green liner on one end, and then the other end you have the liquid liner. So I used both of those for this look, and then I finished it off with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerise mascara. But for the second look with this palette, I really want to play with like this deep red shade right here, maybe even this satin red shimmer. I haven't decided yet, but I think I want to do something with like this column right here as a whole, and then we'll figure out what to do as far as shimmer. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade up here, and I'm just going to move my way through this column, building up depth and definition. So that first shade is called Chief of Police. I am going to go ahead and pick that up with, let's go in with this one. This is a Wicked Widow, the Crow brush. It's just a big fluffy brush. It doesn't have a name on it or anything like that. So I'm gonna go into that first shade, and I'm gonna start to press this on my lid. This is very close to my skin tone, so it's not really gonna do a whole lot. It's just gonna be a good base shade to lay down and build everything else up on top of. All right, so next with that same brush, I just wiped it off. I'm gonna go into this shade right here. This one is called D&D. So I'm going to, like I said, pick that up with that same brush that I just wiped off, and I'm gonna start pressing this in to my crease. I am gonna bring it a little bit more than halfway over, but I'm not gonna bring it all the way over into here. I'm gonna start right about the point where my brow kind of flattens out on the inner portion. And then once I have everything where I want it, I can go back and start to blend and fluff this shade out, blending it into that first shade so that we have a nice blend and we don't have any harsh lines. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring that shade down onto my lower lash line as well. Same brush, I'm just going in with big back and forth motions, kind of fluffing it down here. I'm not doing anything precise, I'm not tight lining or anything like that. And I'm gonna connect it over here in the outer corner. Okay, so next we're gonna go into this deep burgundy shade right here. This one is called Demogorgon. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with a Sigma E54 brush. And as you've probably already guessed, I'm going to start to pack this in to my outer corner. Well, it might be nice if I actually picked up a little bit of that shade. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna start to pack this out here in the outer corner, and I am gonna bring it about 1/3 of the way over. So not quite halfway, but a little bit in. And again, once I have that shade down, I can go back and start to blend out the edges and make sure that everything kind of blends together, no harsh lines. And I am going to bring this down onto my lower lash line as well, just lining it up with what I did on my lid. And last for the mattes, I'm going to go back into this black shade down here, which is called The Void. I'm going to pick it up with my same Sigma Beauty E35 brush that I used in the first look. And very lightly, once again, I'm going to start to kind of press this out here in the outer corner. I am going in a little lighter handed than I did in the first look. I want to see if that makes a difference as far as fallout goes. I do want to note there is also a lot of kick up with the shade as well. I'm not getting much with the other shades, but with this one, there is a lot in that pan. All right, so I think the key to that black shade, less is more. I didn't get any fallout this time when I went in even lighter handed, so just something to be aware of. But let's go ahead and put some shimmer on the lid. I have already gone ahead and primed my lid once again with my NYX glitter primer, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with this orange shade right here. This one is called Gone Missing. So again, I'm gonna pick this one up with my finger. This one feels nice and smooth, very silky as well. Ooh, that is a really pretty shimmer shade. More of a metallic than a true shimmer. It's not quite a satin either. But I'm gonna press this all over my lid, and I'm gonna bring that over to about right there. And I'm just gonna make sure that I blend it really good into this outer corner. I don't think I'm gonna bring in anything else to blend that matte and that shimmer together. I think they are blending absolutely beautifully. All right, so for the inner corner, I think I'm actually gonna go into this shade right here. It's not a true silver. It has a little bit of a blue undertone to it, and I think it's gonna be really pretty on the inner corner as like a pop of a cool tone shade against all of this warmth. So I am going to pick this one up with my Singe Beauty EO1, but first I wanna pick it up with my finger so we can see what it feels like. Yeah, that is really pretty. It has just enough of that blue undertone to it that I do really like the shade. But like I said, let's go ahead and pick this up with my Singe Beauty EO1. I am going to spray it with my MAC Fix Plus once again, and we're gonna pop this on the inner corner. So let's see if this little bottle has anything left in it. A little bit, still going strong. So we're just gonna pop this right in here. And then I'm going to kind of blend it down onto the lower lash line and blend it up into that orange shimmer on the lid. Alright y'all, so this is the second completed look with this palette, and I think this is beautiful. This is my favorite look of the two. I love the color combination. That orange shimmer on the lid is so pretty. It is giving me fall vibes, and I really even like that sort of cool tone icy blue shade on the inner corner. I think it complements the look perfectly. But let me show you what I used to finish off this look so we can turn down the lights, show you the shift, the sparkle, the shimmer, and then we will close out this video with my first initial impression thoughts on this collection. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Haus Labs liner. This is in the shade Sienna Matte, and then I lined my lid with that same duo from NYX from the Beetlejuice collection. I just went in with the liquid liner side of it and then finished everything off with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize mascara. Alright y'all, so there we have it. 2 completed looks with the products that I picked up from the Stranger Things Colourpop collection. As a whole, I think this collection is super cute. They nailed it when it comes to the theming, the color stories, the packaging, everything across the board. I think they did such a fantastic job. I love the outer packaging on the products. It is very 80s and it goes along with the show perfectly. But let's go ahead and run through the products that I did pick up, give you my first initial impression thoughts, and then we will finally close out this video. So starting with the blush, I do really like this. I like the packaging on it. I love that it looks like a little cassette tape, and like I said, it is very gimmicky as far as like a black pH changing blush goes, but I like the way that this one worked. It immediately changed to that pink shade. It didn't go on like black or gray and then change over time. Those can be a little finicky and tricky, and they don't always change completely, so they can look a little patchy on the skin, but this one went on really nicely. Now this one does feel a little glossier or balmier compared to the ones in the Colourpop collection. Those are the only other cream blushes that I have from the brand, and I do really like those, but it is a little bit of a different consistency as far as formula goes. But performance wise, this went on beautifully. It didn't lift the product underneath, it didn't patch, it didn't grab. It did dry down, and I think it blended beautifully. It was also very buildable, so a little bit more on the sheer side, but it does build up to a deeper shade. I think this is really cute, and I think it goes along with the theme in the collection perfectly. Now up next we have the eyeshadow palette. I really enjoyed playing with this. I like the 2 looks that I created. I did not get to every single shade in here, so I still have this one, and this one left to play with, but the shades that I did get to performed beautifully. This is the good Colourpop formula that I know and love that they always put in their collab palettes, at least 99% of the time that they do. The mattes in here performed really nicely. I didn't have any patching, skipping. I did get a little bit of fallout with this black shade right here, but it is a very pigmented black shade. There is a lot of fallout in the pan, but if you go in very light-handed, you don't seem to get any fallout. I did that on this eye over here, and I didn't come across any issues, but the pigmentation is there for the rest of these matte shades. They blended out beautifully. I didn't have any issues with the performance at all, and the shimmers in here I thought were really, really nice. For the most part, they are just kind of amped up metallic shades. This one is a little bit more of a holographic kind of pressed glitter shade. Nothing gritty or heavy or anything like that, but it does have just a little bit of some sort of texture to it. This one down here is sort of like a green to purple duochrome. This one right here also looks like a pressed glitter as well. Let me put my finger in it to feel. Yes, this one is definitely going to be a little bit more on the grittier side, but it is still very pretty. I actually don't mind the Colourpop pressed glitters. They're okay to me. They're not super chunky or textured or uncomfortable on the lid, so like I said, I don't mind them, but I do think this color story is really pretty. I think it is very on theme. I personally could have done without maybe these 2 shades up here and maybe this one right here. I would have liked to see something a little different, maybe a little bit more variety in the matte shades in here, but overall I think it is really nice. I think they did a fantastic job with the collection, the packaging, everything across the board. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Did you pick up anything from this collection? Are you a Stranger Things fan? Which look was your favorite? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.